What began as a camping trip between friends ended with a 16-year-old boy buried in a shallow grave. Ben Eastman left home believing he was spending time with people he trusted. Benito Marquez had been Ben's friend for years, and Benny's older brother, Jonathon Adamson, was with them as well. The brothers had not brought Ben into the woods to camp. They had planned to get him alone. Ben walked into what prosecutors described as an ambush. Within days, investigators would uncover a brutal killing, a concealed grave, and a betrayal involving the people Ben believed he could trust. For today's case, we're going to Randall, Washington, a small, rural community in Lewis County, surrounded by dense forests, mountain roads, and families who often knew one another for years. Ben Eastman III grew up in the area, and he was described by his family as full of life. His father said Ben loved dirt bikes, fishing, and being outdoors, while his brother remembered him as someone who could make people laugh even during difficult moments. Benito, also known as Benny, was the same age as Ben. The two lived near each other, attended school together, and had been longtime friends. Benny's older brother, Jonathon Adamson, was 21 at the time. There was little reason for Ben to believe he was in danger when he left to spend time with them. But when Ben failed to come home, what initially looked like a missing person case quickly became something far more serious. Investigators began retracing his final movements, questioning the people closest to him, and focusing their attention on the two brothers who had been among the last people to see him alive. On the night of June 23, 2018, Ben's father saw him before going to bed, but Ben snuck out during the night and didn't return. At first, it didn't seem completely unusual. Ben was social, he had friends nearby, and one of the places his family thought he might be was with his best friend Benny. As time passed, Ben's family started to worry more and more, leading them to report Ben missing on June 27th. At this time, investigators began looking into who Ben had last spoken to. Phone records showed that Benny was one of his last contacts, and Ben's most recent phone activity indicated that he was heading towards Benny's home. When investigators first questioned Benny, he claimed Ben had never shown up that night, but soon after, a tip led authorities to a rural property connected to Benny and Jonathon's family. While searching the area, investigators noticed a patch of freshly disturbed ground. They were initially told it was a grave for a dog, but it wasn't. Beneath the soil, investigators found Ben's body buried in a shallow grave. The Lewis County coroner later determined Ben died from blunt force trauma to the head. By this point, Benny and Jonathon had left the area and were eventually stopped by Washington State Patrol near Ellensburg, more than 100 miles away from where Ben's body was found. After their arrests, investigators began piecing together what happened in the woods. Benny and Jonathon had planned to confront Ben over an incident they said had occurred several nights earlier. They brought him to a wooded area where the confrontation escalated into a prolonged and violent attack lasting somewhere between 20 and 45 minutes. In a video released by the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, Jonathon physically walked a detective through the area and described Ben's final moments. This recording became one of the clearest accounts investigators had of what happened that night. Jonathon admitted that he and Benny had lured Ben into the woods, attacked him, and left him there after he died. Jonathon repeatedly described the attack as an attempt to teach Ben a lesson. According to the brothers, they believed Ben had sexually assaulted Benny's teenage sister. In this brief interview, she describes what happened to her. Viewer discretion is advised.
I do want to talk to you about your relationship with Ben Eastman and kind of the weeks leading up to what happened.
Ben and Benny were like really good friends from the time they were like 8 or 9. They hung out all the time. I pretty much knew him because he was like a brother to me.
At some point, did something happen between you and Ben?
Yeah. We were drinking, like me, Benny, Ben. I got tired and I went to bed and I told Benny and Ben that I was going to go to bed. So I walked inside, shut my door, and I went to sleep. I didn't really remember after I went to sleep very well. And then the next day I woke up and I noticed when I went to the bathroom that I had that it was sore down there. And then I had noticed bruising. and stuff, and he had texted me and he asked me if I was on birth control, and I asked him why, and then he said something about he was drunk and it sounded fun. But it took like a couple days of like thinking about it, because I wanted to know, like I just kept thinking about it and couldn't stop thinking about it, and it, like after days like went by, like I got glimpses back of like what had happened. I just remember like his weight just on me, like I just remember. And then I remember like him holding me down because I tried getting up. And then I had bruises on my inner thighs and wrists. So I knew that something definitely happened, and it was not, why would I have them on my wrists if it was consensual? When I woke up, I had nothing on but my shirt on, but I didn't have any pants on. And when I woke up, he was in my room. And when I turned over, I seen him and he seen me, and then he left.
When you woke up, he was still there?
Yeah, he was on my floor by my door. And I was in my bed.
What was he doing on the floor?
He was sleeping on the floor.
So you didn't have any conversation?
Mm-mm. Way later, I told both of them.
Before or after Ben's disappearance?
Before.
Okay, and did you tell them together or separately?
Together.
Did they talk about being mad? Did they...
No, they were really understanding with me. Like, they wouldn't have gotten mad at me for it or anything like that.
Right. Were they mad at Ben?
I don't know. They didn't tell me they were. Ben came over, like, after he had did that multiple times, and it was fine. But it was before I told Benny.
But that's prior to you telling them?
Mm-hmm.
Telling
Benny
and Johnny?
Yeah.
Did he ever come over after you told him what was going on? Did they ever see him or talk to him?
I don't know. Not as far as I knew.
Okay. Did Benny or Johnny tell you anything afterwards of what happened?
Mm-mm. If they were to do it, and they wouldn't have told me anyways.
Sure.
Because they would have, like, why would they want me to know that they did that?
Mm-hmm.
Jonathon cited the sexual assault allegation when attempting to explain not only the killing, but the cruel acts committed during the attack. During a recorded walkthrough of the crime scene, Jonathon did more than answer questions. He retraced their movements and showed detectives exactly where and how the attack unfolded.
You and Benny brought Ben up saying you were going to camp. Describe what happens. Walk me through it.
When we pull in here, Ben says, "Oh, is this a spot?" And I said, "Yeah, it's just up the hill a ways. We got a spot up there." So we turned the car off, probably about 20 meters ahead of where we are right now. Turn the car off and pull kind of off the road. We start walking into the brush. Right over here, where the ferns are all beat down, is where we confronted Ben, and that's when he had first hit him. And after that point, Ben had crawled out into the road, and I had hit Ben 2 to 3 times. And then he started to kick him.
You said originally saying, "Hey, no, stop," or something like that, and then he slowly kind of...
Just kind of goes to crying and then groaning and then silence.
Okay. And how long does that take from when the initial talk to when he just stops talking or stops making noises?
Probably 45 minutes.
45 minutes? Was he still making noises after you guys were done kicking or punching him, or was he done making noises prior to that?
I think he was done making noises prior to that.
So do you think this happened for longer than 20 to 30 minutes? You said about 45 minutes, so that...
I really think it was only 20 to 35 minutes. Like I said before, it's really hard for me to put a number on it.
You guys knew you were coming up here to kind of rough them up?
Yeah. I didn't know when we were going to do it. We started walking into the brush, and we got about 6-7 feet into the brush, and then confronted him right there.
So you and Benny weren't
We didn't have
hey,
this is when it's going to happen. No, it just kind of happened.
And you say the first spot with the matted down grass was where the initial punch, he falls down, and then the second spot was where you dug a grave, and you said you had a shovel in the car when you came up?
Yeah.
Was the shovel in there knowing something may happen?
No, the shovel was honestly in there because we were camping whenever Liz told me what happened. And I keep a shovel for when I go camping to put the fire out. Okay, and then what about I know you mentioned something about the fabric had been out of my trunk because I had spilled vinegar on it a week or two before when we had been grocery shopping.
Okay, so why don't you walk us through and kind of show us where the initial punch was thrown and where he kind of fell down to, and kind of show us that.
Right on the other side, on the ferns. was where the initial first punch was thrown.
And does he go down past that initial
He
hump of ferns?
he goes down onto the ground, and then he hits him a couple more times. And I hit him once or twice, and he crawls out here. I hit him a couple more times, and then he continues to kick him repeatedly.
Now, when you say repeatedly, you estimated.
Probably about 20 to 35 minutes of kicking.
Okay. And while he's crawling out, is Benny? Are you kicking him as he's going? Is there?
No, we kind of let him crawl out.
Is he saying anything while he's doing that?
No, he's like moaning, he's screaming more than moaning.
Okay. And where does he get to in the road?
I'd say roughly about right where I'm standing.
Okay. And do you remember when he was on the road if there was any blood or anything like that?
I believe there was right near where his mouth was, but I don't know if it's just washed out now.
Well, I'm looking at an area in here, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm seeing some, I don't know if it is or not, but I'm seeing some spots here of something. Is this, would he have been over here? Would he have been over here?
He was in this general area right here.
Okay. Did Benny ever try to perform CPR or anything?
No.
And you did not either?
No.
What happens once he's laying here and the beating has stopped?
We can't go home and tell people now that what we've done, so take the shovel from the back of my car and start digging a hole.
Okay. And so show us where you drug him from and to, and
So we probably drug him from right here up to over here in the bush. Benny grabs his ankles, we put him in the hole, we recover him with dirt, and we left. And later on that day, we came back and picked him up and took him to my grandparents.
And do you strip him of clothing prior to this?
Yes, I stripped him of clothing inside of the road.
What happens to the clothing? I know we've been over some of
Yeah,
this.
I took the clothing back with us to where we burnt our clothing at my mother's house.
And Benny tells your mom,
Yeah.
and were you there when he tells mom what happened?
No, she came out and confronted it probably moments later.
Confronted you about it?
Yes.
And did you tell her what happened?
Yes, I told her what happened.
And you told me in the car ride up that you told mom ultimately he was buried on Grandma's property, or was this prior to that burial?
No, I had told her when he was here, and then I told her when I had took him to my grandparents.
And then after you tell her, do you then move him to somewhere else?
Yes, after that point, I told Benny to get a fresh pair of clothes on, and we came back out there and moved Benny.
Then you tell mom that you moved the body up to
Yeah.
Grandpa's house?
Yes.
Okay. And what is she telling? What is she saying?
She said that I was dumb. You shouldn't have got your grandparents involved in this. Your grandma's gonna have a stroke if she finds out about this.
Was she there when you burned the clothing and shovel?
It was already mostly burnt, but because Benny had went inside and woke her up and told her what he had done. And at that time, I was burning the clothing and shovel. And by the time she came out, it was pretty much entirely burnt.
Did you tell her that you had burned it?
Yes.
Did she ask about it?
Yeah, she asked about the car.
Now, at some point, does she ever tell you that the body was found up at Grandma and Grandpa's?
No.
How do you find out about that?
I didn't even know that the body was found. Benny had told me that the detectives were there and that it seemed like they were closing in and that he's really afraid and that we were going to get arrested. And at that point I told him that we need to leave.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Mom after that? After you left?
I haven't spoken to anybody since I left.
So when he's buried here, is he buried enough the body's covered with dirt, or you couldn't get down far enough, or how deep is the grave?
It maybe 2 feet.
So pretty shallow.
Pretty shallow.
So once back here, you wrapped him in tarp,
Yeah.
put him in
In the trunk.
the trunk. Okay. Did you guys do anything to the body during this time, or once it was buried?
I tried cutting his clothing off and the knife just went way too deep.
Okay. Did you see the lacerations
Yes,
on the
I
back?
did. They went from like his left shoulder to about his left hip.
long, so
Long.
left shoulder left it long. Okay. And the knife that you used to cut the clothing off, what did you do with that?
I threw it in the river too.
So you threw
His phone and the knife in the river.
Ben's phone and the knife in the river.
It's completely down on the Sister River, the bridge I was telling you about yesterday.
Totally different location.
Yeah.
Okay. I was getting at that. I'm also getting at something else. And what I'm getting at, I know it sounds bad. I know maybe it's embarrassing. Maybe you don't want to say it.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. The stick that was rammed up his rectum. I did that when he was still alive.
Okay.
And I guess in a sick, demented way, I was trying to teach him a lesson. And this was before I thought he was, going to die.
Okay. So was it a, hey, how does it feel type of thing to you?
I said that directly.
Okay. And I'm not saying that's what you
No,
said.
I said, how does it feel? Probably not that great.
Okay. And so at what point does that happen after he goes down in the initial spot? Is he crawling back? Is he out on the road? Is he...
That's after Benny had finished, or not finished, but had been kicking him for a while. I had grabbed the stick and I yanked his pants down and shoved it up his rectum.
What is he saying during this time?
He's just screaming, mostly just screaming, not stop.
And where is the stick that you used for that?
Somewhere in the brush down there.
You threw it down in the brush?
Yeah.
Remember the size of the stick?
It was probably, I can't spread my hands long enough, probably 18 inches long or so, and probably an inch wide.
So he's on his hands and knees, he's on his back,
He's like on his chest with his arms to his side.
How long does that take place for?
Oh, under 20 seconds maybe.
What is Benny doing during this time?
Then he was holding his arms.
Holding his arms? Was he trying to get away? Was he trying to struggle?
He was just struggling. He was squirming.
Okay.
I hit him with that same stick before I shoved it up his rectum. I hit him multiple times across the back and chest. I want to say that this piece right here is one of them.
Let's try not to kick that.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you struck Ben with? Any rocks? Any, like I said before, bats? Any belts? Any?
Yes, there's a rock that's in the burial that just to make sure that he was completely dead.
Benny hits him in the head with a rock, or do you hit him in the head?
Benny.
Okay. So he had already been down. You correct me if I'm wrong. You dig, find the rock, and then to make sure he's...
Yeah, when we put him in the hole before we put the rock back in the hole with him.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you? Anything that I should know about?
Jonathon's testament explained everything in detail, and this is where the case expanded beyond just Benny and Jonathon. Their mother, Kindra Adamson, knew everything about what happened and was taken in for questioning.
I want to talk to you a little bit about what Johnny and Benny told you happened after it happened. And I will tell you this, we talked to both of them. They disclosed the information they told you, and we kind of know some of the things that you knew at that point. But I wanted to sit down and talk with you about some of the things that they told you and you guys talked about.
I still just keep telling myself they got set up. Somehow they just got set up.
Well, I can tell you that they were very forthcoming with information, and they just kind of walked through the whole scenario and what happened. So we don't have a lot of questions left. They basically answered all those questions and explained how things worked and what we would find and different things. We just went through all of that. So I just kind of want to get your reaction, I guess, to, I know probably when they told you, you're probably like, what in the heck are you guys talking about? Like dumbfounded, but...
I didn't believe it. I just was like, no, you didn't. You wouldn't do that. I knew you wouldn't do that.
Well, they said you were there, and nobody's saying that you're directing them to do anything. That's not where I'm going with this. But they said you were there when they were burning the clothes, that they burned his clothes, Ben's clothes, and their own clothes.
I wasn't there for that.
Well, they said you were at the house while they were
I
burning.
was at the house, but I woke up and there was smoke out there. I didn't see what was burning out in the burn pile. And I told him I didn't want him burning in that burn pile because our landlord had put some sewage pipes on top of that burn pile, and that's all kinds of diseases and that stuff. So when I got up, I was like, I didn't want you burning in that pile.
Well, they said that they told you they were burning clothes in it. They went through all of that stuff. So you are part of the investigation. I mean, you're part of someone who knew. There's multiple people who knew. That's why we're here. Well, at least I know there's some point of view that's like at first probably like, what in the heck? Your mind's probably spinning when they're.
No, I was mortified. I just, nope, don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything. I don't want to know nothing because I just didn't want to know. I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to. I'm not good with stress at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was very badly beaten a lot with my ex-husband, and when violent type situations come up, it just flips me. I can't function. I've gotten a lot better, and now it feels like I'm going backwards.
Oh, I can imagine.
When I first got divorced, every time anybody raised their voice, I would just shut me down. For like 3 days, I wouldn't hardly be able to get out of bed. You know, I just like get up and cook the kids something to eat, and then I'd lay back down. I just couldn't function. So,
Well, I'd like to get a quick statement from you and just kind of go over some of the stuff we just talked about. I'm going to have some questions in there.
I just don't know if I should say anything or anything, and I didn't want to be involved. I just kept wanting to believe he's just out there, you know, running around, and he'll come home.
Well, the kid said that you had conversation with them about, you know, you guys are going to have to pay the price now. You're going to have to live with this. Benny even said something about you talking about how put money on your books if you get arrested. Mm-hmm. That it wasn't just a, ha-ha.
No, it wasn't.
This
kept
didn't
telling him
happen.
the best thing to do is turn yourselves in. If you did this, you need to turn yourselves in. That's the only way that you're going to even get a slighter sentence is turn yourselves in. It wasn't on purpose. You didn't do this on purpose.
Benny told you first. You confronted Johnny, like, what did you guys do type of thing. When the police came there and questioned you about Ben's whereabouts, what was your thought behind that?
I told Cheeseman he does this all the time where he takes off and just goes.
But at that point, your boys had told you what they had done.
That's the thing is I'm sorry, all those days just everything blurred in together, and I'm on gabapentin, which kind of screws with my memory, so I don't think they had said.
Well, they were very clear that it was the morning of the incident. They said they told you where they buried him, that they went and buried him.
They did not tell me any of that, and I didn't want to know any of that. I told them I didn't, no. Anytime they started talking about it, I was like, I can't hear this, I don't want to hear this, I can't hear this. That's why I'm like, I don't know why they're saying that they told me, because I didn't, anything they started to tell me, I said, if you did something wrong, you need to turn yourself in. I'm not going to be a part of this. I don't need this is wrong. And they weren't really around. The day after Ben disappeared, they went, I think we all went to the camp kitchen, and me and the girls just worked on cleaning the camp kitchen, spraying it out and power washing it. And that's why I'm like, I don't know why they would say that they told me everything that morning, because I wouldn't have been able to do all that. I would have been done.
Did they tell you they were leaving at some point?
No, the last time I saw Benny, he was at the house, and I told him, lock the doors, I'll be right back. Officer Cheeseman had already said it wasn't safe for Benny to be at the house alone. And then when I got out there, they asked me where Benny was, and I said, he's at the house. And then they went to the house, and he wasn't there. And I was terrified that somebody got him.
They never called you at any point in the next day or two? The next thing you knew, they were arrested?
Mm-hmm. Well, and then it said that they were wanted, and I was like, okay. And then I started praying that they would get arrested or some, I called the detectives, have you caught him? Because I was scared that the Eastman crew would find him. They said they were going to go hunting and find the boys, And
what do you think about the recorded statement?
I think I should have an attorney present. I don't know where I don't want to be implicated in this, and it sounds like the boys said I was a part of it, and that hurts my heart.
What they are saying is when you were contacted by law enforcement and said basically that, hey, I don't know where he's at, hopefully he's out, using drugs or, whatever he's doing, that you already knew he was dead at that point because they told you all of that stuff. That's their concern. They're going to want a statement or something towards that, hey, this is what happened.
That's the thing is that I know things, but then it's like I don't, because when I get super stressed and stuff, I have a tendency to shut down, and like I was saying, it's like I'm zombie zone. I just kind of survive. I just keep pushing through the day,
and I
doing
get
what
that.
I have to do.
You confirmed a little bit at the beginning of this that they told me things I didn't want to believe it at the time.
And it's like then I don't know, survival instinct.
But I think the comments that they're saying that you're talking about, and I know your head's probably all over the place when this is going, trying to say this didn't happen. That's the way human minds work. What my bosses are having problems with is there's a dead 16-year-old.
They were raped.
That's no justification for killing anybody.
No, and that's...
That's why law enforcement could have been contacted, which they weren't.
They don't do anything about it anyways.
Well,
I've
whatever.
had multiple experiences, they don't. Not Lewis County.
Well, I'll just cut to the chase. I'm trying to avoid certain things. We've talked about ways we could avoid going to jail, avoid...
I got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that, and I'm
So
trying to
I'm
be...
getting arrested either way.
That's what I'm trying to avoid at this point. You understand the crime, the criminal aspect of it, what kind of they're going off of.
But I didn't just report them. And so all I knew was a story.
Obviously, by them telling you and you not coming forward when contacted by law enforcement. And I get the kid thing. I get I don't want to screw my kids, basically. I don't want to. That's why we both understand that totally get the reason why you probably didn't do it. But we're also not going to tap dance around this. Unfortunately, you're involved. So, I mean, think about it for a few minutes. I know you're probably wondering what to do. What should I do?
I just want to hug my babies. I promised them I'd be back tonight to pick them up. I let you guys know where I was going and everything because I just didn't want to be where I was affiliated, where I was any way in this. We've had a lot of people that are from there that say no, it won't ever calm down, that they'll never let us be comfortable there again.
I understand all of the pieces to it the best I can, but
Problem is I have like spotty memories, and that's just because of, and I mean you can look it up, the gabapentin I'm on is strong and it has memory stuff, and so then I get flashes and thoughts of, did they say that or did I just think of that?
so do you remember them telling you that they killed Ben?
God, I don't want to remember that. And I've just been praying like crazy. I don't know why they didn't just turn themselves in.
No, they're 16 and 21 and they're scared. But now we're stuck where we're at.
Well, Lydia
So
promised me that she didn't tell them. So then I was like, there's no way.
we tread a line too where we can't make promises, we can't coerce someone. But I will tell you this, if you are willing to be 100% honest with me, lay things out there, you can go back with your kids, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I wish I knew more about all this stuff.
Let me ask you, is there certain things that you're not going to tell me? Is there certain things that you're going to hold back from?
I just don't know what to do. That attorney said not to speak.
He can tell you whatever he wants. You have to make that decision. And I'm not trying to sway you either way, but
I'm just so confused. But I'm worried because my son's attorneys are being scandalous. Two that I hired originally, and they're supposed to represent both boys, but they didn't tell me that it's like against the rules for them to represent both boys, one firm, and now they want to keep all the money, but they only want to represent one of the boys, and then they wanted Johnny to sign off on stuff that, and I guess Johnny told Pond that's not even true, what they're trying to get me to sign off on, so.
sounds like a complete mess.
Huh.
And now you have this on top of it.
But if I ask for a lawyer, then that means I'm getting arrested, and I'll have to just wait till the lawyer gets to me before I can even talk to them to see what they want me what to do. And I have been 100% cooperative. I let them search without a warrant or anything. I just said, search, go. I was like, if there's something here, then be done.
Yeah, this all has to do with what they told you and what they said.
Can't they just like have a lawyer come down here and talk to me before, and then we can talk?
You can call a lawyer if you want right now.
I know, but I don't have money to hire another lawyer.
You need us to step out.
That's not going to work in here.
Okay.
I can do it from right here.
Okay. I can see this isn't like something I'm like, yippee, I mean, I get arrested. I'm not.
I just don't know what to do.
But you got to understand from our point too, we either kind of get what we need or we play the game. So.
Michael Salazar and his mother Amanda Haggerty also knew what happened, yet neither of them went to authorities. Instead, Michael chose to render criminal assistance and tamper with witnesses, while Amanda remained silent. We'll first watch Amanda's interrogation to examine what she knew before and after the murder.
how do you know the Adamson / Marquez family?
Our children are related by the fathers.
Okay.
So her ex-husband and my ex are cousins, but we're raised like brothers, I guess, more.
Okay.
So that's how our kids have been with each other since birth.
There was a time where there was going to be a wedding.
Yeah, that's why we were there last year.
Okay, at Grandma and Grandpa's?
Yeah, and for the family reunion, I just don't know which side it was for.
Okay. And did you go over and help with that?
Yes.
Okay. And sometime during that, did you find out that Jonathon and Benny had been involved in a crime?
Yes.
Okay. How did you first learn about that?
Well, when I woke up the next morning, I went outside to have a cigarette with Kindra and coffee like we normally do, and she had a really sober kind of look on her. And let me back up. What she said was they had gone camping. She said Benny and Johnny got Ben and took it too far, is the word she used. And I said, do I want to know what that means? And she just started breaking down and crying and said, Mandy, they killed him. And I don't know exactly where I went mentally because of my ex and some personal things I've been through. It took me somewhere. I was already having a PTSD episode from before I got there, so I hadn't quite finished it before that hit, and my mind just kind of went in a race, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I saw the boys shortly after, Hell's Ghost, crying, hysterical. They were not okay. There wasn't a lot of words said because I couldn't handle a lot of it, so I just kind of shut down on her, and I would walk away when they would talk about it because I couldn't chance anything with me or my children, and kind of gave her an ultimatum after the second day that they needed to be turned in, and that's about the extent of anything she told me.
Okay. Now you said when they would get near and start talking that you would turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
Did you overhear anything?
The first morning, Johnny talked about how he's saying something about how Benny had kept trying to stop him and was telling him, brother, this is too much, this isn't what we were supposed to do. Benny was not that person, like, neither was Johnny though. I mean, that's what was hard to wrap my head around. I've known these boys their whole life, and that's what I was trying to contemplate, was that action to them. And that's what I couldn't grasp. So when Johnny would start to say something, I would just tell him to stop. I don't want to hear it. I get up and walk away. I told Kindra, I can't listen to it because of the violence I've already been through. And I don't want to know what happened to anybody because this isn't okay. Nothing that happened was okay. And it was too far. And I was upset with her already for not going to the cops with Liz, because then that would never have happened. So I was like kind of in my own emotional mess, being upset with her at the same time. So he didn't say a lot. I didn't listen to it.
Okay. So when was the last time you saw Benny and Johnny?
After that happened, I only seen him a couple times.
Okay.
Because I couldn't deal with it.
So you made a comment that Benny says that Benny, you're talking about stories that they would tell the police or something, or when you're talking about this, and Benny said where Ben was at. What do you mean by that?
If the cops asked where he was, because he said he was supposed to go camping with them, they said never showed up.
Okay.
That's all he said.
Okay, so let's talk more about that conversation, because that's not driving with what Benny told us.
That's at the extent of the conversation. It was literally about 30 seconds.
Okay, so that's not driving with what Benny told us at all. Benny said that everybody was sitting there talking, and
Where?
I believe at Kendra's house.
Yeah.
Sometimes that'll help with my memory, that's why.
And there was a conversation about the story that was going to be told to the police, and they came up with a story, and you basically said, no, that will never work, because they were going to talk about him going fishing and falling into the river and then never coming back up.
And that basically you say you don't tell the cops, you don't offer anything to them.
There was never a talk about a fishing trip.
Okay. Well,
Not to me.
That's not the part of the story that concerns me.
Oh, well, I know, but I'm just saying, just to even lead up to that conversation, there was never anything about a fishing trip or anything else. So I'm not even remembering a time that we all sat around and talked about anything. That's why I said, which house are we at? Because I saw the boys maybe twice after it happened.
Okay. So you're saying that you never told them that?
I don't recall saying that. No, I don't.
Okay.
At all.
So
I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying right now I don't recall it. It doesn't even sound like anything that we talked about at all.
Okay. So I guess here's the point where I'll be really blunt. Okay. So what Benny has described to us, we have sufficient information and sufficient evidence to charge you with crimes.
Who?
You.
Why?
We have sufficient information from Benny to charge you with crimes, rendering criminal assistance, just like we did with Mom, just like we did with Emma.
But I didn't do that.
Okay. Well, and then that would be for the jury to decide. Because Benny entered into an agreement.
Right.
And the agreement was that he has to tell us the truth.
Right.
And,
And I encourage it.
And he has to agree to testify.
Right.
And he has to do other things. And so one of the things is if you're charged, he has to testify against you, which means he'll get up on a stand and say, this is what Tia Mandy told me. Tia Mandy told me that that story wouldn't work and we had to come up with a different story.
Well, then I guess.
So what I'm saying is, now's not the time to now's not the time to not remember. If you can remember at
I'm
all,
trying.
now's the time
I
to
know,
come
I'm
through.
trying.
What about your son?
Talk to him about
This
them?
one? Yeah.
No, I'm not.
And his involvement.
Oh, yeah. I've talked to him about whether he was there. I've made him promise me if he had any involvement, and I believe him.
And what did he tell you?
No. And he was there at the house.
Okay, but explain the whole situation that he explained to you.
Okay. He said when they had gone camping, they were drinking, not him, but they were drinking, and Dad was drinking, and whatever happened, she ended up telling him what happened with Ben. And Michael was pouring out the alcohol bottles because he said before that even happened, they had drank too much. I don't want to say like they put fear or threaten him not to say nothing, but it was like, I don't know, maybe he just didn't know what to do.
So he knew they were going to go kill Ben?
No, not at all.
Then what are they putting fear in him about?
He was scared, period, just because of how angry they got with alcohol. I mean, rage in their eyes is not something he's used to seeing with Benny or Johnny or anybody of his cousins, and it just scared him. I mean, it scare anybody.
Okay.
So I believe my son. I've asked him several times.
Did he help them do anything?
No. Nope. I kept my sons with me from that morning on.
Okay. So,
literally.
Okay.
So you were told they got killed. You gave them an ultimatum to turn themselves in. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Well, it wasn't really an ultimatum. I just told him I couldn't handle it, and I told her that's what needed to be done. But I told her that from the first day.
But you never yourself obviously called the police and
No.
said this is what happened.
No.
Do you have any questions for us before we end the tape? Or the recording, I should say.
I mean, I learned more about what they did by you guys than I did by them.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about the sodomy or none of that stuff.
Well, you didn't learn that from us today. We didn't talk about that.
No, I learned that on the news.
Let me ask you questions about that. What did they say they did to him?
That they beat him up, and that Johnny said it had gone too far and he had picked up a rock.
Who picked up a rock?
Johnny.
Okay.
And Benny tried to stop him.
Okay. And did Benny agree with that statement? Or was Benny there when that statement was made? Or did he say no, that's wrong?
I don't remember Benny being there no, but he could have been.
Okay.
Did they talk about what they did with his body?
Johnny said he buried him. I didn't find out they moved him until after the fact.
Now, we'll watch Michael's interrogation and examine what he knew about the events leading up to the murder and what happened afterward.
Okay, so you're hanging out with the kids. Basically,
Yeah.
The younger group. Drinking?
Yeah.
So who brought up the idea of camping?
I can't even lie. I don't know.
Okay.
We just did it. We did it so often. It was like, hey, let's go camping. Out of nowhere, I just hear, fuck. Like, Benny just starts rage, you know. And like, Benny comes back and he's like, you need to tell Johnny. He told Johnny. He starts going mad. He starts throwing stuff. At this point, everybody kind of hysterical. I'm kind of like just stuck. Johnny and Benny were going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All I was worried about was our personal belongings at that point, like phones, we were gonna leave clothes and.
So you knew that you were leaving?
Yeah.
How?
I knew we were leaving because Johnny said, "Let's go."
Okay. Did he say why?
He did not say why.
Okay.
The drive there, and then Johnny and Benny were like, they're talking about how they're gonna like get him out of his house or whatever, or how they're gonna like, what they're gonna do as a result or as a consequence of what he did to them. And I don't know what they actually ended up doing. What I last heard was, I'm gonna text him and say we're drinking in the woods. And then they dropped us off and they said, we'll be right back. I said, Johnny, you have a baby, and Benny, I don't want you being stupid. And Benny said, we won't be stupid. Johnny said, we're fine. And I was like, all right. And then we just went to sleep. And then I woke up and Johnny and Benny were home. And that's when like they'd gone inside and I was just like kind of tripping out. I was like, what the hell? You know, you guys look like you just did something. How are you just gonna walk into your house like that? And then it really hit me when I saw Benny's knee. It was super gashed, super bloody. And I was just like, there's definitely gonna be something more than I want to hear about this. And then Benny went in, took a shower. I don't know where Johnny went. We went to their grandparents' house to help prepare for the wedding. A whole day goes by when all of us, Johnny and Benny included, are helping prepare for the grandparent or for the wedding for their older brother Jerry. After this day, Johnny and Benny disappeared. Went to the lake, and they were gone. They were supposed to meet us at the lake, and they never did.
So you spent more time telling us about the camping trip than you did about the 2 or 3 days between when they come back from camping and the body's discovered.
Mhm.
So let's talk more about
Those
that
2 days?
time. Yeah.
Those 2 days? All right.
So tell me, first thing you see when Benny and Jonathan come back.
When I come back, first thing I see is Benny and Johnny.
Okay.
They're walking up to the house. It's early in the morning. I want to say like 6, 7. I don't know, my phone must have grabbed it. I wasn't worried about it. And they're going inside. And they stopped to grab me. So like, because they had blood on their hands.
Mhm.
We weren't trying to mark anything up, so I grabbed them a towel. And they had blood on their clothes, and I was just like, okay. I was like, it could just beat them up. But then when I saw Benny's knee, I was like, okay, this looks different. So they walk into the house. Benny goes to the garage. And Johnny he's talking to Kindra. And I don't know what they're talking about. They're on the porch.
Mhm.
And I'm just standing outside. It's very like weird to me. It was kind of hard to process. Like I was just like stuck. I was very stuck on this whole experience. Slept for like 2 or 3 more hours, and then got up at noon. And me and her both got up out of Benny's bed, and we walked inside. And Benny was on the couch. And his mom was putting like a Band-Aid on his knee. And then Johnny was just like walking around getting food or something in the kitchen. And that day, we all went to the grandparents. We painted, helped set up Jerry's wedding stuff. We broke some stuff.
Hold on, I'm confused now. You're saying they get home that morning, you go back to bed, wake up about noon, and then you all go out that same day?
Yeah.
I thought you just said that later that day that you went to the lake and they were supposed to show up.
No, okay, that's why I tried to put that timeline, because I really messed up. Alright, so like, the camping trip, right? They get drunk, they go do something, that leads into the morning. So like, we go at night, like 9 p.m., you know? And that leads into the next day. I want to say like 23rd, camping night, and then morning of 24th is when we went into Jerry's like stuff. Next day of the 25th, we went to the lake, and that's when they disappeared. And
So you think the 24th, the afternoon of the 24th, they were hanging around with you?
Yeah.
8 hours after this murder, you guys are decorating?
Yeah.
Did you know what happened at that point? Had they told you what
How
happened?
they told? Oh, okay, like that. Yeah, they told me eventually. Benny.
So when did they tell you?
They told me after I woke up. I went inside. It's like noon, you know. So I went outside. I was looking for Benny, wanting to talk to him, and I was like, I wanted to know. I want to know what they did. And so I walked out, and he's just like, it's on. He's like, he's not gonna hurt anybody anymore. And I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, we buried him. And I was just like, yeah, you being serious? And he said, yeah. I don't know where, somewhere in the woods last night. He didn't tell me about the whole stick thing. He told me he'd walked out into the woods trying to find a camping spot, you know? Like there was no camping spot there, just luring him out into the woods. And Benny said eventually he just had enough, and like he just turned around and he said something about like, and just like, that's when he hit him, initial hit, and just I don't know, he can't like really goodly describe what he did after that, but he did tell me that yeah, he beat him up quite a bit. He beat him up quite like a lot, and then out of suspicion of like they thought that they were just gonna get attempted murder or something, so they just used the rock and they finished him because he said by the point that like they had him, it was almost death. Like there was no point to put him in that car and drive him back somewhere without the chances of him dying there or them getting in trouble way beyond anything anyways.
So his story doesn't quite jive with yours.
Yeah, I know. A lot of parts got left out. He didn't tell me a lot, and he also lied to me about some stuff.
Okay. Well, but he told us you did some stuff that you haven't told us about.
Mm-hmm.
So Benny made it pretty clear that it was well known that when they left the campsite, they were going to go kill Ben.
Go kill him? Maybe not right when they left.
Okay.
Eventually, it could have stemmed down to that, and I was just being oblivious.
Okay.
Like I said, I was just super stuck.
Okay.
So I personally did not think that was going to happen. I thought that two guys, they would have been like, what are we doing? I have a kid. You're only 17.
Okay.
Like I thought ultimately they're just going to go beat the shit out of him.
Before they left to go get Ben, did you give him a hug?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you say?
I said, I love you, Benny. Don't do anything you're going to regret.
Okay.
You're saying that they didn't bring up we're gonna go kill him. We're gonna go.
No. They were talking like that. They were talking very aggressive and vulgar. They talked about how they were going to beat him, hit him, and bruise him, but they never said, I'm going to kill him.
They were ripping the camp apart and we're gonna kill him, where they were ripping
Oh,
the camp.
no. Benny was just like, he was more like just going crazy. Like, he was just more like going savage than talking.
And then when they come back, do you see them getting rid of anything?
Yeah, we got rid of his clothes.
Okay, when you say we, that's a very key point.
Yeah, I say we as in, I was just up. I more like watched them, but I touched like the doors and stuff. They didn't want to touch their hands on stuff like DNA. And so I opened the garage door. I was
Anything out of the garage?
Yeah.
What?
Gasoline.
So your intent was to help them destroy evidence.
My intent was just to like help them, not to destroy evidence.
Like you knew that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Kindra was arrested following her interrogation and pleaded guilty to first-degree rendering criminal assistance for intentionally delaying the investigation so her sons could flee, sentencing her to 14 months in prison. Arrested in July 2019, Michael Salazar was initially charged with murder for hiding the plot and physically stopping his ex-girlfriend from warning anyone. He took a plea deal that dropped the murder charges, pleading guilty to second-degree assault, 3 counts of attempted rendering criminal assistance, and witness tampering. He was sentenced to 20 months in prison. Michael's mother, Amanda, was also arrested in July 2019 for rendering criminal assistance after helping to cover up the crime and misdirect law enforcement, spending 7 days in jail. Jonathon's fiancée, Emma Brown, was arrested and pleaded guilty to the first-degree rendering criminal assistance for misleading detectives during the missing person investigation. Her felony plea was entirely withdrawn and replaced with misdemeanors for her extensive cooperation. In February 2019, Benny pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and rape in connection with Ben's death. At the time, prosecutors said the plea agreement called for a sentence of just over 34 years and that Benny's age had played a role in the negotiations. By July 2019, Jonathon had pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, first-degree rape, second-degree kidnapping, and witness tampering. The case finally reached sentencing in 2020. Jonathon was sentenced to nearly 47 years to life in prison. Benny received a sentence of more than 26 years. Because he was 16 at the time of the crime, he is eligible to seek early release after serving 20 years. Ben Eastman was only 16 years old. The allegations surrounding what may have happened before his death remain a deeply disturbing part of the case, but they were never tested in court, and Ben was never given the opportunity to answer them. Even if Jonathon and Benny believed those allegations, they chose retaliation over reporting them to police and allowing an investigation to take place. In the end, Ben was dead. 2 people were sent to prison, and multiple families were left permanently changed by a decision that could never be undone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you for the next Crime Time.